Louise Coulson.
Journal entry, 21st of December 2010. I don't know why I hold ambitions to be a writer. I do not write anywhere near often enough. Herbert, however, is prolific. I've changed the names.
Herbert, come back.
He's doing very well indeed. The genre may not be to my taste, but the improvement is there, and he has the endurance. He finishes his work, he has the energy for novel writing. It's dark though, his writing. It doesn't fit well with me when I try and write the darkness, that bleak image of now, of our time. I drift back and hear the story on the radio. Not a story, no. The crossbow killer. Self-professed, his choice of label. The public have been spared the details of his grisly crimes, although there was talk of cannibalism and criminology. Even though I know better, it still conjures images of Africa. Every time I hear the word cannibal, some savage tribe, it jars with Conrad's cursed, and the cannibals I learn about in my reality do not come from Africa. Not the images of hundreds of years of colonialism supplanted in my mind. No, the cannibals I know about are from our own home. This is a poem that relates to that. Africa. Your Africa is different to mine. In mine, people are chopped up, with bones piled high, shining human ivory, at the heart, darkness. But your Africa is home. Journal entry, 5th of November 2011. The ritual burning of fireworks this year resulted in a trip to Darcy Leader Cricket Club. The tradesman who came to my boiler to attend to my boiler, who were Mrs. Lovely Irish bloke chatting away merrily, said he was going with his wife and little boy. I knew I must have been in reasonable spirits as I was joining in, and my internal monologue wasn't thinking, fuck off, can't you see I'm busy doing nothing particular here for once? I think I may be less depressed than normal, or maybe less irritable, or maybe I'm just stormed. The Bishop of York spoke about the responsibility of the wealthy in today's society just before he got into his Mercedes SLK. Haha, I made that bit up to make myself laugh. No, good on him. He was in support of the Occupy movement. Looks like he'll be the next to resign from office then. This poem was written on the 6th of November 2008, and it was just the day after Obama had been elected president. You were waiting, watching silently. I awoke to November the 5th. A celebration for many of a time they had tried to overthrow a king. Annually, a burning of effigies of men who tried to overthrow a regime. We look to those across the pond of a past America who did the same to daughters and sons of the transported. Who could forget those images of that strange fruit? This morning we awoke to a change, something the world can celebrate. This morning, for your campaigning, Obama, will you become the great? This one's written a couple of years later. It's called The Day After Remembrance. The radio clicks on. John Humphreys yaks about Afghanistan. Hell man, does it ever stop? The light calls through the curtains, laughing about a bright winter morning. You were warm and languorous next to me, but you don't want to move, trapped by our tangled limbs. This morning it will be me that brings us tea to sip whilst we talk in bed. The big black dog has left me, and in its place, a small wiry terrier shivers at the morning air, anticipating an adventure as the town waits. Into the frosty metal bog we retreat as you busy yourself for work. Today you wanted to walk through the pale misty skies. The machine gun chatter of magpies in adjacent trees breaks the early morning stillness before they shoot off below the daytime moon. I breathe in the cool, not cold, fresh morning. As my lungs fill, I feel the grey gloom has lifted, replaced by a newfound wonderment for nature's hibernation. In the distance, the boxes of tiny buildings, matches, the drone of the metal bugs on their preset path. I hear them converting the earth to a desert. Distracted by a row of ripe rowan trees leaning towards the light, displaying their halos of deep red berries, biting through the morning frost, makes the water within me tranquil. We head back to return to the rodent racing until next time, when peace may reign. And I remain thankful for another morning's moments, so far away for so many. Journal entry, 16th of July 2012. My spelling is still terrible. War and bloodshed still continue in Syria. There are over 56 million people in England, or is that the UK? I really wasn't paying much attention. Most of my friends have refused to complete the census. I did, I just made everything up. So it hardly reflects what's going on. I was just listening to a programme on the radio about creative people and their behaviours. They are less agreeable, apparently, than your average person. Thank fuck for that. I realise I'm quite crap at work, or at least the niceties of work, for that thing bullshitting. It's not my fault, it's this bloody weather. It's July and it hasn't stopped raining. I need to take a leaf out of someone's book. Always merry and bright. Summer. The monochrome watercolour sky reflects the waters of the tears of time. Blood diluted, but only the blood shared by our veins. Despair spilled over time, broken. The complicit silent bonds disintegrated. I didn't see this coming. Ironing along, ironic as the thoughtful moment brought an awareness, warmed by the weak summer sun, piercing the crying sky. Wings dry soaring to join the flock, with each beat free. Next journal entry, 12th of December 2010. Spent today watching footage of John Lennon on YouTube. I watched one of him and Elton John on stage together and wondered why there weren't more videos. Then I remembered, no mobile phones. So quite a lot has changed in the time, yet still the same old problems. Just that the rich are even richer, bigger, richer bastards. Discussing phenomenology now, the science of feelings pretty much. At least there appears to be a move towards, or at least a discussion about subjective thinking. I wish they'd catch up with us. I mean, empirical objective measure is the only form of measure. As usual, just half the story then. Winter. You rush past me with little dog tickling at your heels. Too grown up now for warnings against elements and clothing. I study you through the frost that splinters across the pane, like some soundless glass symphony. The outbuildings you weave through transform into the stalls of an ancient crumbling amphitheatre, which greedily relishes your intrusion, anticipating the silence ascending, breathing, resurrecting life for its next overture. The crimson of your shirt bleeds into the pristine fresh snowfall, reverting time to the bonds first born at conception, that links life to an inception before eternity, forgotten until many winters have perished before us. I can barely see you now through the cool opaque misted screen. I shatter like stardust as you cry. I can't see you anymore. You're just a shadow. This is list for London. White linen trousers, green belt, grey jacket, khaki top, jeans, cardigan, 3 pairs of knickers and socks, deodorant, shampoo, conditioner, serum, rollers, toothbrush, toothpaste, nail varnish remover, banner from the council in uni, amp, lead, microphone, need 12 AA batteries, need to buy. Plinth, to be, another place, elevated above a whirling populace, stop and stare at a living statue, removed in time to be replaced by one another, not isolated, just observing, in a place where clouds bring peace from the passage of time. No stone, no bronze, just organic, decaying, to return to dust with a breath. Journal entry, 13th of July, 2011. What the hell is going on? Not only have I just had to deal with a so-called friend stealing then crashing my car. It's a write-off, by the way, and Kelsey Prees, the insurance, are being ridiculous about the whole thing. To add insult to injury, the said friend has tried to pass the whole thing off as an accident in which he was helping me reverse the car and I crashed it. My friend's nana thought the whole thing was a bit fishy. Thank goodness at least someone could see through all this nonsense. Another friend is facing the prospect of ovarian cancer. And so I ask you, do you think I have the fucking patience of Job? Dennis came over and we drank some wine. He makes me laugh. He told me the story of my panty. My panty lived in Disbury. This is going back quite a few years. In fact, more like decades really. This was the time when Disbury really was what we would call boho. Long before the time the term metrosexual was even thought about, let alone coined as a label. The time before it was filled with naff restaurants with ridiculous price lists and the wannabe naughties yuppies had taken over. But I digress. I'm sure you all get the picture. My panting lived in a bedsit, when bedsits weren't studios, and they really were only about 8 foot square. Bathrooms and kitchens were shared, or maybe they were held hostage. My panting lived here with a husband. The bedsit was decorated with religious relics, you know the kind, the tiny bone scrapings of St. John, St. Patrick's eyelash, one of the arrows containing St. Sebastian's blood. The sort you would have difficulty finding outside of an old Catholic church these days. Even the most dusty of charity shops wouldn't stock such items. Pot figures of the Sacred Heart. I remember my grandmother having one on the sideboard. It used to give my father, who came from a kind of Methodist family who weren't averse to the odd glass of sherry and a nice single malt, it gave him the willies, his words, as its eyes used to follow him around the room. My grandmother would have said it was boring into the soul of the unbeliever. Actually, she wouldn't have said anything of the kind. She was the kind of Catholic who went to confession and then the spiritualist church afterwards. Anyhow, these relics, the wooden rosaries, were ubiquitous in my pantings. My pantings flat wasn't so much decorated with these items, it was more like a grotto of every conceivable relic and knick-knack you could conjure. I would have to check, but I'm pretty sure eBay would do a nice line in reproductions. It has been said that Jake and Dinos Chapman have both heard of my panting, have been trying to recreate her bedsit ever since. My panting was renowned in these parts for her charts, her astrological charts to be precise. And by all accounts, my panting's charts were highly accurate and highly sought after. People sought her out. The stars of the circuit. The kind of stars you could find performing at the working men's clubs, the vets in the days when you had to be signed up with an equity card to get a spot. My panting met Dennis whilst he was working at the local chemist as a pharmacist. This was where Betty Robb used to sit on a stool in the corner and drink her Lentin. But that's a whole other story. On this particular day that Betty, Rob and Mark Hanting met, Betty was sporting a bright blue polystyrene wig with a twig stuck in the top of it to celebrate Dunkirk Day. So she had made an effort. She was on a holiday to visit her aunt. She needed a break from playing in the review. Her fingers were swollen and she was certain she'd just been raped. Certain that it was that dreadful John Mills. My panting eyed Betty Robb with suspicion and hissed at Dennis, "I'll do you a chart. Come visit me in 2 days, it shall be done." 2 days later, Dennis found himself squished into a chair at my pantings. A as she went over his chart with him. It's not good. It's really not good. Lots of downs and not many ups in life for you. Your life will be long and filled with disaster. But you will find you have an affinity with all the black cats you meet. But you must stay away from them, as you are an unlucky charm for them. It's the fates, you see. You can't interfere with the fates. In Dennis's own words, he wasn't really surprised, but has managed to have a few cats as pets, quite successfully. Although more panting may have been right about the disasters, as Dennis was currently recovering after falling over an edge cliff whilst on a walking holiday in Menorca. Not to worry, at least Dennis didn't go the same way as poor Moy Panting. Sadly, as with many blessed with second sight, Moy Panting was unable to apply this personally. Moy Panting was sat in her chair, as she liked to do, in her nightdress, reading the paper, in front of her 2-bar electric fire, a musty, dusty smelling old appliance with its frayed cord. Moy Panting liked to relax this way and often fell asleep whilst reading the paper. Well, I'm sure you can guess what happened next. Whoosh! Her paper went up, and before Moy Panting could wake up and save herself from a barbecue of the humankind, poor old Moy Panting and the bedsit went up in flames. Poor old Moy Panting. She hadn't seen this in her own chart, but you see, sometimes the fates interfere, and some incidents just can't be predicted. It was remarked upon that the amount of wooden rosaries contributed to the combustion. But nevertheless, poor old Moy Panting, rest in peace.
Yeah!